There is a Swahili proverb that says, "The one carrying an egg does not dance carelessly." For generations, people have understood the wisdom behind these words. Carrying something valuable changes the way a person moves. Perhaps that explains something curious about World Cup captains. Chapter 1: The Burden of Responsibility. There is something strange about a captain's armband. It weighs almost nothing, yet it can feel heavier than an entire stadium. Millions of fans see privilege when they look at a captain. Captains often see responsibility. When a team wins, almost everyone celebrates. When a team loses, the captain takes the front seat with a few key players, and they are sent to explain what happened. That is why leadership is often misunderstood. Many people want authority, few want the burden. And as Didier Drogba once observed, as a captain you must think about everyone before yourself. That may be the first secret of leadership. The moment you become responsible for others, your own comfort stops being the priority. The higher the responsibility, the more careful one must move. Chapter 2: Staying calm under pressure. One of the most important jobs of a captain is not tactical. It is emotional. World Cups create pressure unlike almost anything else in sport. Entire nations watch mistakes become headlines, moments become history, and yet pressure rises. Teammates instinctively look toward the captain. Why? Because when emotions spread, fear spreads, confidence spreads, calmness spreads. Leadership is often less about solving problems and more about preventing panic. There is a reason people remember captains who remained composed during difficult moments. They become anchors. A ship caught in a storm does not need another wave. It needs stability. The same is true of teams. The same is true of leaders. Chapter 3: Taking blame before credit. One of the most revealing moments in football happens after defeat. The match is over, the disappointment is obvious, the cameras are waiting, someone has to speak. Very often, as already highlighted, it's the captain. That is not an accident. Leadership means standing in front when things go wrong and stepping aside when things go right. Lionel Messi spent years being criticized after international defeats before finally lifting the World Cup. What made many people respect him wasn't only the victory. I think it was what kept him returning after disappointment. A leader who disappears during failure eventually loses trust. A leader who remains visible during failure earns it. There is a proverb often associated with West Africa. The rain does not fall on one roof alone. Success and failure belong to everyone, but leaders volunteer to carry a large share of the storm. Chapter 4: Leading by Example. What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say. This is a saying that is often attributed to different cultures. Whether or not the words are ancient, the idea certainly is. Captains understand that example comes before instruction. A captain cannot demand discipline while arriving late, cannot demand effort while giving little effort, cannot demand sacrifice while avoiding sacrifice. Some players inspire admiration, others inspire imitation. That is the difference. People may cheer stars, but they follow examples. Leadership begins the moment actions become more convincing than words. Chapter 5: Why captains speak for the team. Captains are expected to talk to referees, journalists, coaches, and teammates. Why not everyone else? Because leadership requires translation. Captains stand between different worlds. The emotions of players, the decisions of officials, the expectations of supporters, the plans of coaches, their role is not merely to speak, it is to represent. The best captains understand that leadership is not having a voice, it is carrying the voices of others. As Paolo Maldini once said, a captain is not the one who shouts the loudest, a captain is the one who leads. Influence does not come from volume, it comes from trust. Chapter 6. Leadership beyond football. The interesting thing about World Cup captains is that very few of us will ever become one. Yet their lessons apply almost everywhere. A parent leading a family, a teacher guiding students, a manager leading a team, a friend keeping a promise. Different arenas, same principles. Responsibility before recognition, calmness before panic, accountability before excuse, example before instruction, service before status. Perhaps this explains why the captain's armband fascinates us. It represents something larger than football. It represents a truth that leaders in every age eventually discover. Leadership is not about standing above people. It is about carrying something valuable on behalf of others and carrying it well. Closing reflections. A captain's armband is one of the smallest objects on a football field, yet it represents some of the biggest ideas in human life. Responsibility, pressure, accountability, example, trust. Perhaps that is why every World Cup produces unforgettable captains. Not because they are perfect, but because they remind us what leadership looks like when responsibility can no longer be avoided. Before we close, not every great player becomes a captain. Across generations of football, only a small number have carried the armband for club, country, or on the world's biggest stage. The following are a few reflections from captains that have carried this unusual weight. Philipp Lahm. Whether we have the best individual players doesn't matter. You have to have the best team. Football is teamwork, unity, defense, assists, sacrifice. It's not enough to buy good players. One has to develop a team. The wisdom takeaway is, this explores the dangers of hyper-individualism. Lahm, renowned for his quiet, cerebral leadership style, highlights that a collection of brilliant minds will always lose to a cohesive, egoless unit. Hugo Lloris. After the World Cup, the next 2 or 3 days, there is a lot of celebration. And then after that, you feel so empty mentally and physically. It demands a lot of energy and a lot of emotion. This take fits beautifully on the arrival fallacy, or the psychological void that occurs after reaching a massive mountain top. It shows the raw human vulnerability of achieving the ultimate dream and facing the quiet "now what?" the next morning. Diego Maradona. Football, like life, is filled with ups and downs, and the most important thing is to keep moving forward and never give up. Here, the takeaway is, this shows a grounded perspective on resilience, accepting that life is inherently nonlinear, and survival depends entirely on forward momentum. Cristiano Ronaldo. In life, the best timing is always my timing. I don't have to think about what other people think. I speak when I want. I am bulletproof. I wear iron clothes. Something you can take away from Cristiano Ronaldo's words is, in a world where people constantly seek validation and allow public opinion to dictate their actions, Ronaldo's words serve as a masterclass in psychological autonomy. He essentially argues that you must become the sole author of your timeline and build an unshakable, bulletproof internal armor that external chaos cannot penetrate.